Welcome into OutKick the show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. It's going to be another hard show. It's been a hard 24 hours. It's been hard for me. I imagine it's been hard for a lot of you since Charlie Kirk was assassinated at a free speech event in Utah. As we are coming to you live right now, they still have not caught the assassin. He's been been fleeing for the past 24 hours. We just did a 3-hour Clay and Buck, all focused on Charlie Kirk and his legacy. And I would encourage you, if you're struggling, I think it might help in a morning fashion to be able to listen to that full show. But I want to start off today, and I'm just going to be as transparent with you as I possibly can be. People on the left killed Charlie Kirk because they could not defeat his arguments, because his arguments were better than theirs. And Charlie, to his great credit, came up with a fantastic concept that, as your original free speech and boobs guy, I just loved. Charlie went to college campuses, and he set up an open mic, and he said, tell me what I'm wrong about, debate me, let's actually have a public airing of views, and the best argument will win. And they would grab all these different college debate discussions, and they would put them on social media, and from there they went insanely viral. Why? Why did Charlie showing up on college campuses with an open mic in front of him and just saying, let's debate, why did it go so viral? Why did young men and a lot of young women so respond to Charlie Kirk? It's because they understand that their reality is being artificially constrained. And they don't expect to agree with anyone on everything. But young men in particular are desperately seeking purpose in life. And in the wake of COVID and in the wake of Me Too, a lot of young men are struggling with purpose in life. Honestly, this is something I've been thinking about a great deal. And it's really the entire basis of this book that I wrote, which is addressed to a large extent to young men and people raising young men. Charlie connected with those young men because he respected them. And he was willing to hear out any argument to the contrary of his belief. And on the very day that he was assassinated in cold blood, there was an open mic stand in front of him. He was providing a forum for anyone who disagreed with him to be able to walk right to that microphone and tell him why he was wrong. And the left couldn't do it, so they killed him. That's the truth. His voice was so powerful that they felt the only way they could win an argument with him was by resorting to violence. Now, this is a natural outgrowth. This is something that I've been focused on for a very, very long time. Been writing about it at OutKick, been talking about it on all my shows. Over the last decade or so, maybe the last 15 years, we've seen an ominous progression in the country to where the argument has been made that words are violence. That if you say something that makes someone else uncomfortable, that is a form of violence. And I've been arguing against this for a long time. I've been saying, even in the world of sports, we often punish words more severely than actions. Go back and you can look up me writing about this in my books. I've been on it for years, a decade plus. Words aren't violence. Violence is violence. But when the left wing in this country is willing to argue that words are violence, the natural outgrowth of that progression is I can use violence to stop your violence. Your words are violence. Therefore, my actions of violence against you are justified. This is what has been happening for 15 years in this country. And the natural outgrowth of that perspective is how Donald Trump gets shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's how another individual shows up in West Palm Beach, Florida, and tries to kill him. It's how Charlie Kirk ends up being assassinated. The left in this country has decided that words are violence, and if there are words they do not like, they are justified in using violence to end life. And that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. And some of you may have seen my guest spot on Sean Hannity's television show on Fox News last night. And I was supremely angry. And I'm still supremely angry in the same way that I was after we saw Donald Trump get shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. And what I said then, I want to say again, and I'm looking directly into the camera, and I hope that left-wing politicians see this. Shame on all of you. You caused this. You cannot incite violence and then when the violence occurs, condemn it. I'm not playing that game anymore. For a decade, you have been saying that Donald Trump is Hitler, that Donald Trump is an authoritarian dictator who will overthrow democracy, that Trump supporters are Nazis, that I'm a Nazi, that you're Nazis if you voted for Donald Trump, that you are the equivalent of modern-day Adolf Hitler supporters. Your demented, brain-rotted followers, some of them, take that as the literal truth. That's what the West Palm Beach would-be assassin said. He said, Trump's Hitler, I've got to kill him. I believe that's what's going to be the motivation behind the killer of Charlie Kirk. These people think they are heroes because you are convincing them, left-wing politicians, that in fact, Trump is Hitler and Trump supporters are all Nazis. And when you do that, you have devalued their lives and you have also encouraged and incited violence against them. Let me be clear. Violence is never the answer for political speech that you disagree with. If Rachel Maddow had gotten shot, if I don't even know who's on MSNBC otherwise, if any of these individuals on college campuses were shot for their political beliefs, I would 100 billion % repudiate it. And I'm telling you right now, violence is not the answer. Win the argument of the marketplace of ideas, in the marketplace of ideas, by making your arguments bigger, stronger, and better than the arguments of those who are arrayed against you. This is that clip last night that has gone mega viral. Tens of millions of people have seen it now. If you haven't seen it, I'll play it for you here. This was me last night on Sean Hannity's show. I am tired of hearing people say, like Barack Obama did, like Hillary Clinton did, oh, we condemn this violence. Guess what? You can't call the President of the United States for 10 years Adolf Hitler. And you can't say that he's a fascist dictator. And you can't say that anyone who voted for Trump or advocated for him, like you, me, Riley, and Charlie Kirk, are Nazis. And then when someone tries to kill us, you can't suddenly say, oh, we condemn this violence. You caused it. Look at me right now. You caused this. When you tell people that someone is Hitler, you are telling crazy people, go kill them. And I am sick of pretending that that is anything other than what they're doing. That guy in West Palm Beach, what did he say? He was killing Trump because he believed Trump was Hitler. This is what they do, all right? This left-wing violence, it's out of control. And Charlie Kirk bore the brunt of that left-wing violence. And guess what? But for the twist of his head at the last minute, Donald Trump's head would have been blown off on live television.
And that is intentional. They are lighting fires and then claiming, oh, what do you know? There's a fire there. They're doing it on purpose. MSNBC, Sean, you watched this. They were live on the air saying, one of their guys said, they put out a PR statement. He said, well, Charlie Kirk was riddled basically with hate. And when you put hate out into the world, this kind of thing happens. Oh, tough break. You get shot and killed even though you're completely innocent and all you're doing is making arguments for the betterment of the country. Tough break for your young daughter. Tough break for your son, for your lovely wife that will never get the opportunity to see you grow old with them. I am so angry. And I understand everybody out there says, well, we have to tamp down the anger. I'm not willing to do that right now because I get angrier the more I think about this, Sean. They put the wheels of motion for this in order. They did it, Sean.
Okay, that was me last night. I want to contrast that with what MSNBC said. This was Matthew Dowd. He was fired for this. He said effectively the argument that I think it's important for you to understand that's coming from the left, which is if you use words that are perceived as hate language, even though Charlie Kirk was actually very moderate. I don't know that I ever heard him curse. He was incredibly optimistic, a happy warrior, as many would say. He was of a very sunny disposition. So the idea that he was in some way engaged in hateful rhetoric is just frankly not true. But look at how, in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk being shot, on MSNBC, almost instantaneously they said, this is what happens when we decide that your speech is violence. You've put in play your own life, and you can't be surprised when you are killed, essentially. Watch this.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about.
Talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Now, they fired him for this. And some of you say, oh, you're a First Amendment guy. And like, what do you think? I think if you're a moron and you're bad at your job, you should get fired. And I think that Matthew Dowd is a moron. I don't know if he was bad at his job or not. His MSNBC bosses can decide that. But I think it's important for you to understand and hear the arguments that they're making, because they are effectively saying, if you say things we don't like, you can't be surprised if we decide to kill you. This is not a both sides related issue. This is one side has decided that speech is violence and it is justifiable to kill people if they speak in a way that you don't like. And if you doubt me, go look at Blue Sky. Go look at the amount of vitriol, at the amount of celebratory videos that people are posting because Charlie Kirk is dead. Now, a lot of people are saying, what now? What should happen now? I think everybody has to be bigger, braver, more courageous than we've ever been before in the past. I think that is the only way to combat the intent of killing Charlie Kirk, which is to make everyone afraid and to make everyone a coward and to steal the spine of much of America. That's what terrorism is designed to do. It's not just designed to silence the people that are killed. It's designed to intimidate and terrify anyone else who might still be alive. So I'm going to tell you this right now, what I told my boys. I've got 3 boys. Last night I brought them all together. My 2 oldest boys were incredibly troubled. They're teenage boys. They have watched a lot of Charlie Kirk videos over the years. Their entire school today, kids wore ties and jackets. And they hate wearing ties and jackets to school. When it's a tie jacket day, my boys are complaining all the time. The students themselves decided that they were going to honor Charlie Kirk by all dressing up at school today, the entire student body. And I sat down with my boys and I said something. And I know a lot of you are parents, a lot of you are grandparents, some of you are teenage boys yourself. You're young guys and gals watching this right now. I understand that I've aged into, as my boys call me, an unk. They call me an unk. I don't know how to do remotes anymore. I don't know how any technology works. I'm 46 years old. But here is what I told my boys. And it's something that I think I would encourage you to have conversations, particularly if you have young teenage boys and girls, because they may be more familiar with Charlie Kirk because they spend more time on TikTok and more time on YouTube than you might. And I would say this. What matters is not how long you live. What matters is the quality of the life that you lead. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. My wife makes fun of me. I like to visit cemeteries. I like to walk through old cemeteries, and I like to see the headstones, and I like to see the names on them. And like a lot of people, you look and you say, oh, this person lived to be 85 years old. What a life. That person only lived to be 16. Boy, that's a shame. There's actually an old cemetery when my dad, my uncle, and my grandfather, who I was named after, when my grandfather retired, 1969 in Tennessee, after a whole life working basically at the DuPont plant in Old Hickory, Tennessee. My grandfather decided that what he wanted to do was buy a bunch of land and just go be on a farm. And so after working, it might make sense, right? Psychologically, you've been inside of a factory your whole life, basically. You love the open air. He bought a farm in West Tennessee, middle of nowhere. And the family started going down and fixing up that property. And on that property was a house built in 1884. And inside of that property, just out in front, passed over the old county road there in West Tennessee. For those of you who know West Tennessee, I say between Linden and Hohenwald, Tennessee. My family, starting in 1969, would go down there all the time. I was born in 1979. First words I ever spoke were on that farm. I would go there. I'd dress up like Davy Crockett. I'd put on my boots. I'd walk around with my BB gun in the woods. Coonskin cap sometimes. Pretend that I was hunting bear like Davy Crockett back in the day. Spent a lot of time down there. Didn't have running water. Backyard, old bathroom was a outhouse. You'd look down, make sure there's no snakes there, and then you'd just go to the bathroom in the outhouse. We had sun showers, no running water. Spent a lot of time down there when I was a kid. Out front of that house was an old family cemetery. And that might be where I started getting interested in walking around cemeteries. You guys know I'm a history guy. You walk around in old cemeteries. You look and you judge a life based on the number of years oftentimes somebody got. Oh, they lived to a ripe old age. Oh, they died young. That's a shame. And the older I have gotten, the more I have realized I've been looking at gravestones entirely wrong. The year you start and the year you finish is not the significant part of a gravestone. It's the thing that we pay almost no attention to. The dash. The dash. That's your life. And it's over in a flash. But what year you were born and what year you die is not the significant part of your life. It's the dash. It's what you did. And the quality of a life is not defined by its length. It's defined by its impact. What did you do during that dash? What did you make better? What did you build? What did you create? What did you make that is better in the world than it was when you arrived and when you left? And for Charlie Kirk, he only lived 31 years. I'm crushed as a parent that he's never going to see his young daughter and his young son, and probably, knowing Charlie, they probably would have had more kids. But the significance of the 31 years he had on life on this planet dwarfs the significance of 99.9% of us. And if you focus on the significance of your life, all of us have to elevate what we are doing to make the world a better place. And you cannot be governed by fear. What I told my boys was, I want them to know, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Somebody probably out there doesn't like me and is willing to use violence against me because they don't like some of the things that I've said in my 20-year career. I can't stop that from happening. What I can tell you is I wouldn't change a day of my 46 years. I told my boys last night, I said, I want you guys to know I have lived my life in a way where my fear is not what I haven't done. It's that if I went back and relived, that I would screw something up, because I am supremely happy to be sitting here talking to you right now. And I'm supremely happy to be sitting here talking to all of you right now. I wouldn't want to change anything in my life. I've had a lot of failures. I've had some successes. But I feel like what I've done in that time that I have had so far has been significant. I haven't left anything that I wished I had done. We all have to live like that. And I have to tell you, for the young people out there, you've been lied to a lot. You've been raised as if you are fragile. And I'm an old unk now. And let me tell you something. You aren't fragile. You are tougher. You are stronger. You are bolder, braver than you think that you are. And I understand that some of you are hurting right now because Charlie spoke to so many of you in a way that touched you profoundly, and you feel his loss in a significant way. And I understand that hurts. But the way to respond to a loss like this is to be bigger, braver, more courageous, stronger than you ever thought you were. And trust me, you have that ability. I know it. I know you have it in you. This is what I told my boys. And then I said, do you have any questions? And they had a bunch of questions they wanted to ask me. And one of them was haunting. Because one of my sons said, do you think when Charlie Kirk's kids grow up that they will watch that video of their dad getting killed? And I said, I don't know. I've got to be honest with you. I don't know. They're so young. But I said, what I would tell all of you is focus on what was accomplished, not how it ends. And Charlie had one of the most accomplished lives that any of us could have ever lived. And my challenge to you is to be braver, more courageous, more than what you have already been. And I myself am going to try that as well. Some of you may have seen my friend Jesse Kelly said, hey, we need to have a big event in Utah. I just got off the texting with Ben Shapiro, who went on his show and said, hey, we're going to do a massive campus tour. I'm going to be on a campus this weekend. You cannot run and hide. You cannot do it. That's what these people want. They want you scared. They want you fearful. I'm not going to fear any man. I'm not going to change my life. I'm going to live it the same way that I always have. And that would be my suggestion to all of you. If you are angry, and I understand if you are angry, if you are profoundly tired in your soul, and I understand what that feels like, the way to win is to refuse to give in and to bend down and work harder going forward. That's what I'm going to do on behalf of Charlie's legacy. That's what I would encourage all of you to do. The most important right we have is the right to free speech. They took Charlie's life while he was speaking. That's a sign of the weakness of their ideas. They are not strong. They are cowards. They are not brave. The person who tries to silence someone, as history has often shown, in a free society, they lose because they create more people who are willing to speak louder and who will rise up and help to fight the battles that the people they have killed are not able to fight in a physical sense anymore. And that is my pledge to you. All I've ever said, and I close by telling my kids this, and I tweeted something like this similarly, I don't fear death. I don't fear anyone. If you live a life where you are trying to be focused on what you do and on what you leave behind, you shouldn't ever fear death. To me, I would rather die tomorrow or today than live to be 100 and not say and do what I believe is in the best interest of this country. Some of you disagree, that's fine. But the length of a life is the wrong way of looking at the significance of a life. And it's taken me years to realize that all those times when I've been walking in cemeteries when I was young, I was thinking about life in the completely wrong way. It's not the first year and it's not the last year. It's the dash. It's everything. And Charlie, he accomplished more than almost anyone will in their life. And I honor him and his legacy and his memory by not being willing to let the people who killed him change me at all. In fact, all they're going to do is make me work even harder to advance what I believe are the significant and culturally incredibly important arguments that he put forward. They killed him because they couldn't beat his arguments, but they didn't kill his arguments. All right, I love all of you. I know this has been very serious and difficult and challenging, and I haven't slept very well, and I bet a lot of you have not slept very well either. And so I got to tell you, we're going to win. We are going to win. America is going to be better than it ever has been before. Free speech is going to be more powerful than it ever has been before. And I'm going to work as hard as I can to help make that a reality. And I hope all of you will join me in your own lives in doing the same. All right. I'm also going to do a completely not serious show for those of you out there that are like, I just want to have a beer and watch a football game, for God's sake. I don't want to be crying every day. I don't want to be worried about the world. Get it? I'm going to be at a game this weekend. Hopefully my team will win. And I'm going to do with Kelly Stewart now. We're taping the fade, and we will have some fun with that. So if you're just played out and you're like, I just want to know what's going to happen in the NFL and college football, I feel you. I understand you. And so, by the way, with Charlie Kirk, who loved the Oregon Ducks. Congratulations, by the way, and thank you to the Yankees. I would submit My one statement would be, man, I think a lot of college football stadiums out there, given Charlie's impact on campus, should have a moment of silence for him before the game. That would be my one, hey, what take do you have for Charlie and the fact that he loved the Oregon Ducks? And when we texted, we didn't text about politics. We texted about college football. He was a dad. He was a college football fan. And he will be sorely missed, but his impact will never vanish. And we can all make sure that's the case. Love you guys. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I will see you on Monday. Maybe I'll see some of you at the Georgia-Tennessee game. I'm sure I will. And up now, it's the fade. Not serious, but I love you, and prayers to Charlie, his family, and everybody who is grappling with the serious things in life right now.